Good morning. I want to spend a couple of minutes answering a question I get a lot. And that question is, why do I always ask you guys to export things to PDF when you turn them in? The short answer is I want to ensure that I am grading whatever you're submitting to me exactly in the way you intended it. Um, to get into a little bit longer answer, uh, there's things like if you have UX in your title, you tend to be held to a slightly higher standard with your documentation. It's kind of an unconscious bias, but people expect your stuff to be quote unquote pretty. Also, as a teacher, when I'm grading things, um, I'm grading you on the essentially the UX of your documents. Are they easy to read? Can I find what I need to see? Is it legible? Is it readable? All of those things. And so PDF is the only way to guarantee that what I'm seeing and grading, or what your customer or client or whomever your boss is seeing, is exactly the way that you intended it. Now, modern computers and with the way the technology works today, most of the time, whatever fonts you choose, if they're available in Google Fonts or something like that, people might have access to them. But sometimes you'll get into a little bit more custom fonts. Maybe you found some fonts you like that you purchased and installed that not everybody's going to have. Um, you produced the document on a particular version of Office on the PC, and you move it to, somebody only has an older version of Microsoft Office on a Mac, so on and so forth. So that's really why. But let me show you exactly what I mean with two documents. So these are a couple of syllabuses from, or it's actually the same syllabus from a couple of semesters ago, but it was created with the font that I have since taken off my computer. So let me show you what the PDF looks like, the PDF that I exported. This is the PDF that was what was exported and posted on our e-learning site and everywhere else. Let me show you what the original document now looks like, though, because I have taken the fonts off my computer. So obviously I had these fonts on my computer at some point, otherwise I would not have been able to produce the PDF. But this is what it looks like now that I've taken those fonts off. Word doesn't have them, Word doesn't have access to them, and so it puts it down like this. Now, granted, in this particular instance, the content is all still legible. You can obviously tell what was meant to be, but it doesn't have the same impact that the final PDF does. And so if you kind of extrapolate that to any of the documentation you are creating to, like I said, turn into me for grading or turning into the future, it makes a difference. And so I just wanted to, I've explained this to students in the past, but I wanted to go ahead and take the opportunity to give you an actual example so you can see what I mean. Um, in some cases, like I said, this particular one, the impact is certainly different, but the content still lays out mostly the same. But sometimes, depending on the font that gets followed, that Word or whatever falls back to, you may end up with things on different pages than you expected. Your page breaks fall in different places, and that gets into issues with, proximity of content to the right place and stuff like that. So hopefully this answers a question that you might have been asking yourself, why is she so passionate about exporting a PDF? And this is why. Now, I certainly realize that there are plenty of times that this isn't necessary. If you're doing internal documentation with folks that have the same fonts on your computer, if you are creating something in Google Docs and for sure that the viewer is going to be looking at it in Google Docs, PDF is not so important. But in this situation, because you don't know what I'm going to be looking at it on, or a client that you don't know what they're going to be looking at it on, PDF is certainly a way to go. Obviously, there's other advantages to PDF as far as document size, as long as you shrink the document some, the inability to edit it, that sort of thing. But really, I'm looking at that presentation. I want to make sure I am grading exactly what you intended for me to see. Hope this helps. Thanks.